So, if you've ever had I guess, strong opinion about something, and you feel so strongly about that opinion, in a sense, even if there is statistics to back up your opinion, or let's say most of the world agrees with your opinion, right? In a way, you're technically wrong and you're technically right, and there is no point to your opinion when you think of everything in the grand scheme of things. What? Why do I say that? Well, let me if you in the grand scheme of things, when you really think about it. Why there's two sides of a war, right? Both sides are right, depending on who you are in this, where you sit or where you're placed in this war zone, right? You could be on the Confederate side of the American Civil War, wanting maximum freedom and wanting to sustain what the whole point of going to the United States was, right? Freedom, away from the government, away from more government control. And that's really what the war was fought over. It's become all about slaves now, but it was a small part of it. I mean, it was a big but small part of it. Um, or you could be on the Union side, who says these people have too much freedoms, they get to do too much, they have too much wealth without helping the rest of the states. Um, and with both sides, there is a yes and there is a no. There is a right and there is a wrong. There is a truth and there is a lie, depending on what side you're on. So the entire war in the entirety is useless. It's pointless, right? Because both sides are right and both sides are wrong. All it depends on is what number of people find those facts the most important. And you can go into this with literally anything. And when I say anything, I mean literally anything. So when you really think about it, down to the most small facts, even with the war we're in today, right? Your perspective may have been, you know, they're useless people, or you know, you just hate these people, and you just even if you're at something like that, in a sense you are right. In a sense you are wrong too. But the question is not who is right and wrong anymore. And it's not even really perspective. It is how easy can you be swayed or propagated to believe a certain way. And whatever side has the best propagated propagation and has the best persuasion in their words, that's the most truthful and right side. It doesn't even matter if something is, and I know certain things, right? Certain things can be something as um and look, like I'm someone who would be like anti-abortion, right? And but anti-abortion isn't all positives, right? In a sense, yes, there is an overarching positive, and that is bringing life into the planet. That is the most important positive. And you could say, yeah, that's a fact. Bringing life to the world is one of the most important things you can do, you know? And you could say that's the overarching fact. And it is, right? But the thing is that not every ideology or standpoint has 100% positives. So everyone needs to understand that and try to bring to light the perspective of someone not finding what you find as important in their life because they haven't experienced the need for that importance, or they haven't been propagated the need for that importance, right? No mind is a free thinking mind, and no one really has free will in the sense of everything is who you are, and everything that you think and you perceive as a person is through experience. So when you get upset because you think someone's stupid, that um, they think that they need to have their abortions because what if they want to go to college or whatever, that's usually the argument. Or what if someone gets raped, that's like, it's like, really, you could bring up the statistics and show that literally the most minute amount of people that are um getting abortions were never raped, and then you find out that the amount these people who get abortions end up getting multiple ones because they just can't seem to close their legs, right? And that's just, but the thing is that, yeah, it would destroy their lives, and that's what they care most about at the time being, right? And they don't have this ideology that having a family and having something of your own is important, right? They weren't raised that way, they weren't propagated that way, and they don't perceive life that way. And if you have someone out there and you want them to feel that way, all you need to do, in a sense, is drop little tee wee bits of propaganda their way. Not so much, you can't just dump the whole bucket on them. You have to, flick little bits of water at them, and eventually they will be, you know, there. They will be where you want them to be. But yeah, the whole point of this video is that every ideology is right and it is wrong. One may be more right than the other in the grand scheme of things, but also in the grand scheme of things, none of it matters because they will always, no matter what, there will always be an opposer to every ideology, and there will be an ideology that rises that everyone opposes. Most people oppose, but there will always, no matter what, right? You can't have groups of people who are on Discord who want to be school shooters in tiny little groups and say that there isn't a right and a wrong, and there isn't a propaganda, or there isn't something out there that is making these people want to do this, right? So, yeah, my point is, in the grand scheme of things, we're all right and we're all wrong. And to understand why someone thinks a certain way is to understand the circle of life and ideologies, is that it's all experience and what they've been propagated for. And when I say propaganda, I don't mean, there's not flyers in the streets, with Uncle Sam. I mean that, like, if I said someone's wearing Air Force Ones, right? And I'm like, dude, those are only for like ghetto people. Only ghetto people wear Air Force Ones. That was propaganda, right? Someone out there took that maybe a little bit more serious than others, or others might have opposed that idea because of past ideas or past experience with Air Force Ones. You get what I'm saying? So everyone, in a sense, is a little bit every action you do is propaganda, and it's swaying minds, or it is swaying minds further in the opposite direction based off of experiences in the past that they've had in life. So, yep. Hope y'all enjoyed. Peace.